A mystic is a lover. A mystic, Matthew Fox tells us, is a mystic is someone who digs deep to find the place in us that outside of all the chaos and the noise discovers what it deeply loves. This is what I want to get into in the month of February, the month for lovers. And in response to these times, how becoming a true lover, a mystic, someone who is heart-centered and directly encountering the depth of love, the sacred. And that this practice of digging deep, of being still and digging deep, is what allows you and I to be true lovers, to fall so deeply in love, to be able to turn down the noise of the world and focus our attention and our being on being true lovers. Every solution you need, every change you want to see in your life, in your body, in your relationships, in your money, in the world, comes from this. So I want to invite you in a couple ways you can actually get into this practice. Starting February 22nd, you can join me online or in person on Saturday mornings for the Way of Spiritual Living, to really craft a rhythm of practice, of spiritual practice, to discover what the practices are that help you get into this digging deep and being still and becoming a true lover. So that's Saturday, starting February 22nd. I also want to invite you, if that's not for you, to get on our app. We have a new app launching this month, and I want you to know that on that app, there's so much for you to be supported to do this work. So go to our website, abqcsl.org, get the app, join me on Saturday mornings for 8 weeks, starting February 22nd, and let's become true lovers. I love you so much. From author, theologian, abbess, philosopher, incredible thinker, activist, and rebel of the Middle Ages, Hildegard von Bingen, tells us that we cannot live in a world that is not our own, in a world that is interpreted for us by others. An interpreted world is not a home. Part of the terror is to take back our own listening, to use our own voices, to see our own light. Hildegard was talking about the terror of becoming true to ourselves, to see the world, experience the world directly without interpretation, with our own eyes, with our own hearts, with our own minds. And that to make this choice might feel terrifying. To unplug from someone else's interpretation of what is or what should be is a radical, courageous choice. And that's the ask in February. That's what I'm asking you and I to do in this series, is to be still enough, to dig deep enough into our own selves, our own wisdom, our own discernment, our own quiet, solid place of wisdom within. And we did some practice of this, of going within and discovering our inward sanctuary last month. And we were guided by Howard Thurman's writings. And this month, I want you and I to dig even deeper into that inward sanctuary so that we can discover a depth, a truth that is wider and deeper and more powerful than something you've been handed maybe, or something you are distracted by in your life. This is the promise of spiritual living. This is the work of spiritual living. And it's important that you and I understand that our spiritual lives require some willingness to go deep, And because you go deep, you discover love beyond your wildest imaginings. Because you go deep, you discover truth truer maybe than you've understood before. And you discover it in your own voice, not my voice, not the voice of people before us, not the voice of people outside of us right now who are really effing loud. You discover truth in your own voice. You also discover the untruths that are rolling around in there. Sometimes we call it monkey mind or ego or tapes, right? The self-critic. But the practice of digging deep is to go beneath all of that noise, beneath what you thought you knew as true, beneath even what you thought you wanted or thought you should be aiming for as good and right. To dig deep, to become a mystic, to become a true lover, is to go beneath all of that, to go beyond all of that, to be willing to be undone by a greater truth, a greater power that exists within you and beyond you. But that you have the capacity to tap into this by digging deep, by being still enough to feel into what this power is, what this love is that I'm talking about, what this greater reality is that all of the great thinkers, saints, and prophets ever have been pointing us to. What the shamans have been healing with and from the beginning of humanity. You have access to it. You always have. But it's a deep dive. It's asking you and I to dig deeper maybe than we have before. And to make a habit of it. Yeah. To make a habit of the sacred. To make a habit of love. This is how you and I become true lovers. This is how you and I become the change we want to see in the world. I'm asking for this depth, for this digging to be your priority, right? We're in February where maybe you've already had goals and intentions and resolutions that have already begun to fall by the wayside. So return to the center of yourself. Return to the wisdom within yourself, this inward sanctuary we've begun to develop relationship with. And see what real goals need you, what real intention you may want to begin to set as we move into a more active season, but as we still remain in this winter place of turning within, of hibernating, of quieting. This is some of the promise of this quieting practice, of this turning within practice, of prioritizing the practice of digging deep, of going within. The promise of that is love. Love beyond romance, love beyond what you've maybe known it to be. This love that becomes available to you and I, this active, powerful, materializing, the love that manifests our wildest dreams, all of that starts with the habit of digging deep, of choosing your own voice, your own sight, your own heart's wisdom as the greatest guiding force of your life. And beginning to trust it. Beginning to trust it. There's a story in the Gospel of Matthew about a farmer who discovered this great jewel, this great treasure. And when he discovered the kingdom of heaven within, the great treasure, he went and dug it into a field and buried it and hid it and then went and sold everything he had and bought the land that he had buried this treasure in. This is how powerful, this is the greatest treasure hunt of your life. To discover the wealth and the power and the love that is within you, that is the divine in you. This, my friends, is the greatest goal, intention, work that you and I could dedicate ourselves to, devote ourselves to, and make habit of. Right? And maybe you're going to make yourself your own Valentine this year. Maybe you're going to make the sacred, your communion and relationship with the sacred, this heaven within, this nirvana that is available to you in every moment, in every breath, because you turn your attention to it in your own being, because you make it a practice to access this wise, golden, wealthy, powerful, loving treasure that is in the center of your very being. What does it mean to make a habit of being a lover, a true lover? Matthew Fox, when he described the mystic, described a lover, someone who digs deep, and because they dig deep and turn down the noise of the world, they discover what they deeply love. It's this place in you that reveals yourself to you. That's been my experience, sometimes in really surprising ways. The more that I have prioritized this work of going within and opening my mind and being more willing to discover something I have yet to discover and to be wrong. Right? Think about the great relationships of your life. You've had to be willing to be wrong in them, right? You've had to be willing to give ground. Maybe when you're in conflict with somebody you love, you've been willing to let somebody change your ideas. Maybe even change your way of being in the world. That's what love does. We come to spiritual living in this community for transformation. That's our mission, to transform lives and communities. So I'm hoping that you have come because you want transformation. You want deep change in your own life and in the world and in the communities you belong to. And love asks us to be willing to change, to transform, to become more of who we are. Not less of who we are, but to become more of who we truly are, and to break the bondages and the mistaken identity and belief of who we think we are. It's a courageous thing to be a true lover. It is a gift of aliveness that you and I can commit ourselves to being true lovers. It's how we can come into alignment with this gift of aliveness that the Spirit has given you and I. To be alive, to be animated with the very force of love itself. And when you and I consciously decide to prioritize our own aliveness, our own true and holy nature, and how to discover it through spiritual practice, through spiritual living, this is how we come into contact with the change and the transformation required to experience the love and the abundance and the grace that we long for. This is how it happens, is because we prioritize learning ourselves, right? The great Egyptian truth that was put across their learning centers and their temples. Know thyself. This is what I think they meant. To know in every fiber of your being that you are good and holy and whole, and you have access to the one mind, the one love in your own being. But in this time, in history, in these moments that we find ourselves living, there's so much noise out there. There's so much misunderstanding. There's so much indoctrination and programming away from who and what you truly are, because it's powerful when you and I access this truth. It is the most powerful, right? We can't be dumbed down when we are connected to this truth. We cannot be separated from one another and our inherent belonging to one another when we become true lovers. That's how important this work is. That is how important it is that you and I commit ourselves to making this the top priority. To live heart-centered, to ground ourselves in the sacred, the greater power that is bigger than what you've been taught, what you've been told, what you can see. To go into this greater love, this depth, this deep place that is so deep and so wide and so powerful that it is able to access the unseen, the yet to be seen, the undiscovered, the yet to be, the becoming. This is how you and I tap into being the change we want to see in the world. And it starts with the self, right? It starts with you. It starts with your inner life. And then it becomes possible for you to show up in your relationships, in your most intimate relationships, in your families, in your neighborhood, at your workplace. You show up as this love. You show up in ways that maybe you haven't even dreamed of yet. And your perfect ideas and your exact right words and that smile and that glow and that vibration that you are now resonating at becomes transformative to everything and everyone around you. My God, how powerful you become because you choose to dig deep, to get still enough, to turn down the noise of the outside world enough to tap into this and to learn it. The practice I'm asking us to get into this month is communion. Prayer and meditation for the purpose of communion. Communion at its most basic, which means to be in intimate connection with, to have intimate rapport, to commune with the holy within you, as you, to get into deep and intimate connection with your true and holy and wildly powerful and beautiful and creative and amazing and unique self. And you and I can do that through prayer. And maybe prayer is a word that you don't have a relationship with, or maybe you have a relationship with the word prayer and you think it's crap and terrible and it's not a thing you want to do because of history, because of what you've been programmed and hurt around maybe. But I am asking you to maybe develop a different relationship with prayer. Even if you already pray, I'm asking you to develop a deeper relationship with prayer. Prayer for the purpose of communion is about getting in conversation with the holy. It is about deep listening. It is about bringing your whole self, your lament, your worry, your secrets, the things that you will not say out loud. I want you to bring that into conversation with the holy, with the divine that is within you and beyond you, that is you and is greater than you. Be in relationship with the divine. That's the kind of prayer I'm talking about. Hildegard said, listening, our own listening, that To step away from others' interpretations of the world requires the terror, she says, of our own listening. It is terrifying sometimes to go within, to turn within, to meet all that is in there, to listen past the worries, the fears, the critic, that voice within that has been indoctrinated and programmed in you and handed down, right? Maybe from parents, from society, from teachers, from all the places that can come, that you and I have internalized, have made within ourselves some form of truth that is crap. But being still, getting quiet, slowing down, and beginning to turn your attention within, you have to go in there. You have to face whatever is there for you and trust, because you have a practice, because you make it a habit of doing this, that if you go within long enough and enough times, you can sink beneath the noise, even the noise of your own inner critic, the noise of your own misbeliefs and misunderstandings, and get into relationship, intimate connection with more of who you are. This is what prayer can do for you. And as you share with the holy, with the greater reality, with the divine, with God, with the mother, whatever name you give it, as you share what is on your heart, what is on your mind, you can then get into the practice of meditation or listening or allowing the divine presence, the peace that passes understanding, to meet you there. Prayer and meditation go hand in hand, which is why they are the practice we're going to focus on this month. This is the digging deep, the be still, dig deep, be still and know. Or Rev. Rangel Kyoto Williams, be still enough to feel and quiet enough to hear. This is the prayer and meditation practice I'm inviting you into this month, so that you can listen with your own depth, begin to discern between the inherited voices that are crap and the wise, wise voice of the divine that is in there deeper, beneath all that noise. To find a place to be held with whatever you want to bring to the divine. Whatever burden you want to lay down on that inner altar, as Howard Thurman, the great teacher, tells us to do. That we can take the noise of the world, the grittiness and the pain and suffering of our lives, and lay it on the altar within, and be held by this glorious power of love that is right there. That is the task being given. I believe it is the call of our times. And I know without a doubt, it is the way to the life you long for, the world you long for, the solutions and the answers you seek, the depth of love you want to experience. This is the how, my friends. This is it. So I invite you into the practice, prayer and meditation for the purpose of communion. You can find out more about how to do that, specific practices and suggestions and journal prompts and reflection questions and actual guided practice on the app we are launching. We are beta testing. You are welcome to join us on it. Go to our website, abqcsl.org, to get all of this for free. I love you so much. You, my friends, are the greatest power in the universe when you are plugged in, digging deep, becoming the true lover you've been designed to be. Amen. Ashe. Aho. And so it is.